are you?
I'm trying to hold on a minute. Wait a minute. I still got my music going. There we go. Pumping it up. That's what I'm doing. That's Joe Buttons. You remember Joe Buttons?
Uh-huh.
Off of what was it? One of them Love and Hip Hop shows.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. For me, that was skating.
You skate.
Yep.
I heard that. How you doing?
That remind me of You Got Served.
Yeah. Because that's an old school song too. Kim know that.
Yep.
So how you doing? Kim?
I was okay until it started snowing yesterday. But other than that, I'm hanging in there with this new way of living. How about you guys?
I'm doing okay.
I'm all right. I don't like the snow though.
Listen, I already told y'all that they didn't sat there. We got this virus going on. Then they got the little murdering hornets. And I said, if it snow, y'all better look on out. And now it is. It's like the Jumanji movie. I'm like,
yeah, this is something.
Right. All right, Nick, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. The usual quarantine.
The usual quarantine?
Yes, still.
Well, things are supposed to open up. And what was it? It's on the 15th, May 15th?
Yeah, but we on quarantine until the end of the month still. So that defeats the purpose.
So you ain't going out?
No.
What about you, Kim Hammond, go-to girl? You going out?
Hey, I've been going out. I put my mask on and go do what I have to do and come home and take my mask off. I was in this week though, the whole week, which is the first time I've done it for the entire quarantine. I left yesterday. I said, I haven't driven my car all week. But I'm getting kind of antsy because the weather is starting to change and I am definitely a summertime person. So I wish they could, hurry up and fix this, although I don't think that's going to happen the way we would like to see it. I do believe that normal as we knew it no longer exists.
So if you were that person, like I'm not a real huggy person, but if you were that huggy person, you think that it's definitely going to affect, how do you think it's going to affect people mentally?
Mentally? I think it's going to affect people in a lot of ways. I think, by the way, since we're having this discussion, it is National Mental Health Month. I want to make a note of that. What we are learning during this pandemic is that gathering, human interaction, connecting is very important to us. It is something that those of us who've had it take for granted. Those of us who are not huggy, touchy-feely are still yearning for some type of connection with human beings. And even though a lot of people have their pets, a lot of people have folks that they don't mind living with, because there are some people out there who really are not happy having to stay with the person they live with. But what is happening is, I think that loneliness is rising during this time. However, I think awareness is also rising, and I think that that's most important. People are starting to see how those who don't have somebody live all the time. So I think this is a learning experience as well as a human experience. I think that it's going to definitely make a difference. I am a huggy, touchy-feely type, depending on who the person is. And it sort of gets to me when I'm going through the store and, everybody, we have our masks on, and those who don't have the mask on, it's almost like the people who are wearing the masks are looking at the others like, you guys are not taking this seriously. And the people who aren't wearing the mask are looking at the others like you guys are overreacting. So I think that mentally, just not huggy and touchy feeling, I think in all areas of life, there is a new mental awareness that is happening with everybody.
Okay. Now, for instance, me, am I suffering, my aunt used to tell me, only child syndrome? Is it because of that I'm used to being by myself, so I'm kind of okay?
Yes, because my daughter is an only child from me. She has other siblings with her dad, but she was raised in a home by herself as a child. And she is not bothered by this one bit.
See, that's just like, okay. What about you, Nick?
I'm a huggy type person. So it's kind of hard when you see somebody. It's like, hey, especially we haven't seen them in a while, a couple months. Hey, how you doing? I can't. It's gonna be hard.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be hard for me.
That's where the issue is at. Roogle the movie guy.
Hey, you made it!
Hey, Roogle. We doing it. We got like everything going. Like, let's try to figure this thing out and how does it work? We doing all right though. I think we doing all right. Here's my other question. When you said that you're a huggy person, the world is opening back up, like they have the salons now. I saw where they had some article I was reading, and they had the Oriental Asians. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. The Chinese people, whatever it is. Roogle laughing already, like there she go again. I'm not politically correct on how y'all want to say, but anyway, we got the nail shop with the Chinese people. And I see where they had like shower curtains hanging to separate for social distancing. And they're saying, I saw another one where a salon had like this whole side thing, and he was moving and cutting the hair, the whole nine. But I'm not trying to be funny, but I just got to keep it real here. It's not connected. It's a shower curtain. It's just hanging. My thoughts, because what's happening is what I see happening is people are losing their common sense based off of what somebody's telling them. And they're like, okay, you have to do this. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. And then you're throwing out your common sense, which is really bothering me. So in that, where I saw the shower curtains hanging there, and then, they got their mask on, the whole nine. But to me, it's still the same. The air is air. And when they're saying that this is airborne now, you know what I mean? You have the first they would say it was contact, then they're saying it's airborne. But if somebody fart next to you and you're able to smell that air biscuit is still floating. So if you can still smell it, I mean, I'm for real. If you can still smell it, guess what? The air is still coming over to you because it's not connected. I'm sitting there thinking like, so what's your thoughts on that? Like, we already know Nick over there laughing, but it's for real.
I think that applies to more than just the airborne virus that we're talking about. When you're saying what you're saying, all I'm thinking about is people who put on gloves in restaurants and then touch everything.
Right. Exactly. So you might as well not have gloves on.
Right.
I'm like, you exactly. It's like, where's the common sense going? What's happening here?
I think part of it is there are so many conflicting stories as to how you can actually catch the virus: droplet, contact, airborne. I think people have almost, in some sense and in some ways, become desensitized to the process of how it can be transmitted in lieu of trying to restart the economy. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, that's what this all boils down to. People are losing money. People are losing their mental balance. There are so many other things that are happening. And it was once said by an upper level official that this has become a healthcare crisis. We don't want to turn it into a financial one. So at some point, people are just doing what they need to do to get things back on track.
Okay. Now, yes, it is becoming a healthcare crisis. And let's put that out there, evidence-based. So it's not like it's just coming out the air, we're just saying it, because in the medical field, in nursing, in whatever, what is it, allied science. So it's evidence-based, so people need to understand that. But at what cost? At what cost? I know, Nick, go ahead. At what cost?
I don't know. Well, we have someone that commented about this. It said that it's like the plastic in front of, like that they put between you and the cashier. The whole store is open, and the air is recycled. Like most stores, they have the recycled air. It's just cool. So what was the sense of putting that plastic up? They're wearing a mask. Well, I put the plastic up because all of this is still empty. You're in the store. So I look like,
I think
that's me.
But it's true, because especially if you're in closed quarters. Mm-hmm. So you look at the ventilation, like let's say like cigar bars. I don't smoke, but I've been to cigar bars, and just kick it. And if they have poor ventilation, you're like, oh my gosh, my ass will flaring up. But if they have good ventilation, the air is going out.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So it depends on the ventilation. If you're in small quarters, like I said, ain't no way, like this is Nut City. I'm sitting there like, well, if I could smell a fart, I know it's floating. Right. I know it's floating. And then they talking about that the coronavirus and this is somebody else, so alleged, the coronavirus it can live on an object for 3 hours or something, they were saying? Mm-hmm. I think it was like 3 hours. Don't quote me on that. Y'all got to look and research that part. But that's what they were saying, and that's why that lady in New York, who has a funeral parlor, she said that they're not accepting any coronavirus patients. So her suggestion is just to pretty much go ahead and cremate, because they're not. And she said if they won't embalm them, why should I bring them here? Because I may be exposing myself or my staff,
Right.
you know, the morticians into it. Because I know back in the day, it was one disease back in the day. I'll put that up later. I'll get the actual information. Kim, you might be able to help me out, where the morticians had to be vaccinated against when they were caring for those bodies. I want to say measles, but I'm not for certain. Don't quote me.
I can't remember.
But it was.
But it would make sense that they were offered a vaccine if there was one available.
And the morticians were, so they're still exposed to that body. So that's something that, you know, you have to consider. So I wasn't mad. She's like, oh no. And then allegedly they were saying that a lot of the this one guy, he is nuts. We were at work and he was talking. He's like, oh yeah, you go in there for infected toe. And they were like, oh yeah, infected toe passed from COVID-19. So we were reading up on it, and it was showing that some of the alleged, y'all hear me, I'm clearing myself. Alleged, the hospitals, if they write down coronavirus associated with, they get up to $26,000 extra.
Oh
yeah, I heard that. And yeah, so what they're saying is,
Wait, go ahead, Kim Ham, and then I'll let Roogle go ahead, because
what they're saying is that even if it's presumed that COVID-19 could have been involved, that they are using that on death certificates for financial gain. I did hear that.
Okay.
And if you go on a ventilator, if there is a way to find association with the ventilator COVID-19 in that particular patient, then there's an extra money for that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that is out there.
All right, go ahead. Roogle, what you want to say?
I heard that can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I heard that during a conversation, but I didn't really, I don't have a source for it. But I just wanted to just comment about the sneeze shields or whatever. Like when I look at those things, like
sneeze
you know,
shield.
that's what I look at it. It's like, hey, if somebody comes up here or coughs directly or sneezes directly, at least you got like some impact from the big stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know, but the thing that's disturbing me a lot is just like people not wearing masks out. And like I had to drive through the park to get to the grocery store, and I seen people like just out chilling, like families, kids, old people, and all this stuff all together. I'm like, what's really going on here? It's such a problem. This is one thing I probably should have told you before the show, but I didn't know this was going to be topic. But I guess it's the topic everywhere. Is on Monday I'm going to be on a Zoom meeting actually with the Youngstown's Minority Health. I'm a part of that Youngstown's Minority Health office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to come up with ideas about what we need to inform people about, and what they and what resources the community needs.
Okay.
So if y'all have any ideas.
All right, good stuff. And then you can share with us and let us know, since we have this platform, okay? All right, well, I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm gonna start with Nick. How do you feel about the parents? Nick, show your mask though, first off. Show your mask to the people. That's looking. She got the Medea.
Exactly.
You got the Medea one.
Cough one more time.
It say cough. Ain't that something? Coughing is totally different now. And she got the Medea mask where it says cough one more time. How do you feel about the parents wearing? I see adults wearing masks, and I see their little children without.
Like you said, little kids are walking magnets for germs.
Yeah, little petri dishes. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, what happened?
I feel that everybody should be wearing a mask.
Right.
If you're going to wear one, and what people need to also remember is if you don't have access to a mask, then a bandana or some type of covering over the face. Because when this first started and everybody was going out and getting like the astronaut mask and the, you know, all of these sophisticated masks, people felt that if they didn't have one of those, they wouldn't be protected. So at this point, I think that one of the things that Roogle can even share in his meeting is, no matter how you feel about it, err on the side of caution. It doesn't hurt to wear the mask. anything that you can get to cover your nose and mouth.
I'm guilty. For the longest, I wasn't wearing one. I wear one in the store now. Now that I got
And in the studio, you wear one.
Yeah, and I just brought it in here. But yeah, when I come out and get in my car, I don't have it on. Or like when I'm walking out, I'll take it off, whatever. So I'm guilty of that.
Oh, well, we don't want you to be guilty of. We want you to wear your mask. Now, I'll say this. We're finding out now, I don't know, in the state of Ohio, they were talking about recycling masks and steaming them and getting them clean and all this other stuff. I won't say exactly where I work at. However, I'm going to say this. I have become sensitive to the elastic around the ears. So bad that if you guys aren't familiar with the butterfly ear, that's what happened to me at work. And I'm like scratching and itching. I'm like, wait, what's happening? And I mean, big pustules, and it was crazy on the one side. Then on the other side, it was just itchy and rashy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I was like, it has to. And at first I didn't realize it because I was wearing a mask. The mask, actually the N95, let's be real. I'm not saying this is all of them. This is my experience. Okay, so let's clear that up. Then when I had to go into a patient's room again, it started again. Then I went to work the next night, same exact type of mask. I had to go back to the original mask, which is not good because it has like a filter in here. And when you're going into a patient's room with the filter, it captures all that dust. You can't take it out. You're supposed to take it off, remove everything and toss it. But we have now been told we can wear it longer. Well, anyway, I have to wear the bands because I think it's the elastic behind the ear, because this is the only part, and I was like scratch under here, but I have to wear the band behind my head in order to go in, because I'm going in. I'll just take the little puffy ears sitting out like Dumbo to protect myself. But the as far as for infectious disease, if you're working with a patient that is possible COVID-19, diagnosed, those material masks, as she was saying, that is, you have to use the N95. And you just like me, you just got to suck it up and be like, ears might be messed up or whatever. I just need to do what I need to do. When you are outside and maybe not in the medical field or dealing with somebody like that, you got to protect yourself, and definitely protect yourself and the patient. Okay. With the material mask and you're outside, you don't know who has it until they're actually diagnosed or tested. And now we have more testing, and we are available, they are more available now. Now they have where you could just spit saliva and spit into like a little specie tube or whatever and send it off, and that's part of your DNA. Now,
that's what I just did.
That's the new one. Now, this is just me talking. I'd rather you take a Q-tip up to my brain like they did 3 times. It didn't hurt like holy heck, but let me know what I got, okay? Spitting into the tube and sending it off, giving DNA. Now, are you okay? This is my next question. Are you okay with giving DNA? Go ahead.
Just sent mine off yesterday for Ancestry.com, because that's what
for Ancestry.com. That's what you do too. So it's kind of like the same concept.
Now,
but what about for let's go with Corona. We stay in with that for a second.
Okay.
So with Corona, are you okay with being checked that way? Well, you went off of Ancestry.com. They still do the same thing.
They
if you got a record. They looking for you. They go look.
Right,
they go find you anyway.
Right.
What about you, Roogle? Are you okay with that way versus the Q-tip up your nostril?
At this point in time, I think the urgency would be, if you can get a test, get it. I really don't. I don't know if there's a preference of it. I haven't really researched that as far as like which one gives you the fastest results. I think though, what I would like is like for people not to have a false sense of that. Okay, if I do get a test, then I'm okay. Like, it's not like I think people are.
Like, I was okay last month. I'm cool forever.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
I don't want, like I think people are being like, and I don't want to be insensitive, but the only way I can look at this is like the only time we really had like a lot of mass testing about something was like HIV, right? And so like a person could get tested and be like, oh, okay, I'm clear, I don't have it. And then they get another test down the line or where they're like, okay, I don't have it. But they know the behaviors that they didn't do like your sexual history or your drug use or whatever it is that can cause it. You know what those things are. But in this case, I think people who may have gotten the test are like, okay, well, I'm cool, but that doesn't mean that like you can't, like you can catch it right after you take the test. You know what I mean?
You might go get your nails done.
Yeah. So that's been really bothering me, is just like it seems like there's a lot of just, I don't know how to put it. I'm just gonna say arrogance. When I see people just like, I'm at the store and I see people like no mask, and they're like people that are like in the like 60 plus, and that sort of thing or whatever. And you're like, well, why, you of all people, why wouldn't you do this? You know what I'm saying? And I understand, from what I understand, is like it just stops you from being able to communicate, to spread it versus contracting it. But the point is just that, like, if we're all in it, everybody say, hey, we're all in this together, but like no one's really doing the basic part. That's the basic thing.
Okay, go ahead, Kim. Same question. You remember?
As far as, first of all, whatever South Korea did to shut theirs down, that's the test that I would recommend. But at the same time, I agree with Roogle. If you want to be tested, whatever way is going to give you a result, go ahead and get the test. However, you can get tested and walk past somebody in the street 5 minutes later and contract the virus. So it's not just about testing. However, when we're looking at people who are not complying with wearing the mask or not complying with social distancing, as a member of the healthcare profession, we deal with non-compliance throughout our entire career. So this is just non-compliance on a level where everyone can see it, but we deal with non-compliance all the time. So it's just a matter of what you feel you need to do to protect yourself, regardless of what other people are doing. And at the same time, there are people who don't feel they need to protect themselves simply because maybe they're not taking their medications the way they're supposed to. Maybe they're not complying with their diet the way they're supposed to, or exercising. So this is just a more prevalent example of what we deal with in healthcare America every day.
And that is true. I had another discussion with someone who thought that wearing the mask was ridiculous. And I asked the reason, because y'all already know. I just want to know. No judgment on here. Explain to me, help me understand why you feel as though it's not important for you, because everybody has a difference of opinions. And he said, next it'll be, we're wearing these masks, we're using all this hand sanitizer, and then as soon as somebody like touch anything, my immune system will be so broken down that I won't even build up antibodies. So, and he used the term antibodies, so he was in the medical field. And he said, I won't even have antibodies built up enough to fight off your basic. What's your thoughts on that, Kim, being a member?
I see exactly what he's saying. And if you think about it, back in the day, I remember when kids would play in the dirt, or they might eat some dirt, or they might touch something that today we would freak out about. A lot of the older people said, let them play in the dirt. That'll build up some antibodies. That'll keep them.
That's what my grandfather used to say. He was like, to tell my son, he was like, that boy is sick because y'all won't let him play in the dirt. As soon as some dirt get on him, you're cleaning him up.
So I can see the mindset that goes with that.
And he was older. Okay, what's your thoughts, Nick?
From what he said, that does kind of make sense, because like she said, like back in the day, we used to like drink from the water hose and pass it just so, yeah. And now kids it's just like we turned into germaphobes. We're not going to be able to, like, the antibodies to fight. Like, I kind of agree with what he said, but there again, we've been given so many different, so much information, so many different stories. You don't know what actually to do, what actually to believe from the government, because they don't know. So it's like,
it's all a learning experience.
It's a learning experience, and for some people, it's fighting a losing battle.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this about my son. No lie. Oh, we went to a Halloween party years ago, because he's grown now. Years ago, we went to this Halloween party. I will never ever forget it. They knew it was my child. They was like, we already know that's your son all day. They were bobbing for apples in line. Shout out to you, Tavita. They were bobbing for apples, and he was next. And he already saw it. He probably was like 4 or 5. Anyway, maybe it was 5. I don't know. But anyway, this is him. He stood there and he waited. They was like, okay, go ahead. It's your turn. He said, you gonna change that water? It was like, he was not bobbing for apples.
I never did.
Else.
I always had it.
And he was little on his own. So when they yelled, they told me, they was like, he said he is not doing that. I fell out laughing. I was like, I don't blame you.
But I was like that. When I was little in Girl Scouts and we had our Halloween party, they was bobbing for apples. I would not.
Like that is not.
No, that's from a child. I would not. I don't know. And I don't know what made me not just. But I was like, I've always been like that. Always like bobbing for apples. You got me.
And see, and a lot of people, it's like, okay, what's the next game? And you're not really thinking of anything. But he was not having that, and I just started laughing. I was like, okay, come on.
I don't blame him.
Next
I'm
one,
with him on that one.
Now that daughter, she all in, she had everything. You be like, whatever, you know. So I'm like, so matter of fact, she's not the sickly one either. She's not the sickly one. He is the sickly one. All right, now for President, look at me talking about some President 45. President Trump, his valet person ended up testing positive. So now he's saying that they all have to come in and they have to wear masks. Sean, look at me talking about Sean Penn. That's the actor, right?
Yes.
Pence, the vice president. Michael Pence. There you go. You see, the movie guy know what's going on.
Mike Pence.
His his assistant end up testing positive. So now they have decided that they are going to be tested every day to see if they have been, I guess, to see if they're positive or not.
Yes, I seen that. I seen him being interviewed about that, and the thing that got me upset, like I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm not happy about with the Trump administration, but what got me upset about the thing was that when he was talking about the guy. Now I don't know if he was just trying to be protective of who the guy is because it is his health information, but it is seemed like the way he was talking about the guy was like he was just trying to distance himself from the guy. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, this is a person who you have to interact with almost every day because he's picking out your clothes. You know what I mean?
Right. Close proximity too.
Yeah, and it made me think of The Butler. Remember the movie The Butler?
Yes.
You know, and so I'm like, well, if this person is in this close of working quarters with you, like you would think that like you would have. It didn't seem like he felt bad for the guy. Like it didn't seem like he felt like he cared about what happened to him. You know, and that kind of made me feel bad about it. But then I thought about like this too. This is a person who's probably had servants all his life. You see, he probably don't even interact with them. He might not even know his name. You know what I mean? But he may not have any meaningful interaction with them. You know what I mean? Because let's face it, this guy is not the most. I don't even.
You're like, let me leave that alone. Let me leave that.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, he just ain't that guy. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of like. It's just everything that he's done up until this point, especially related to this piece, has just been a complete failure. You know, you want to cut money to the World Health Organization. You know, you want to blame the CDC. You want to do all these things. But when they were telling you this, it's an interesting video I seen. It was done by MSNBC where they show like over the days of the pandemic, his reports and how he would change his story or just say, oh, this is not real. This is a Democrat hoax and all this stuff. And he was saying this stuff in like to groups of people, you know what I mean? And it's just kind of this crazy how like, hey, take it serious. Even if it's not happening here like it was in the beginning, still take it seriously enough to be like, okay, if we're the world superpower, then use those superpowers. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's, you know, so it's just.
Let's see if any listeners have any comments.
Elisa wanted to know. First, she wanted to know the difference between the N95 mask from the others. Then she wants to know about like the filter. Like, what about the mask? Are you supposed to have a filter? And how long it takes to get the results?
Now, Kim Hamlin, go to girl. You want to answer that question?
I am actually looking that up right now.
Okay, so she'll get back with you. You got it? Okay.
The N95 mask is a respirator mask. It's a particulate filtering mask, which that means it's getting the airborne particles, and it is meeting the requirements of the CDC, the Occupational Safety and Health Organization. So there are organizations that mandate what types of things we're supposed to use across the board, especially in the healthcare profession. So that mask is particularly made for anything that is airborne, anything that is a droplet, whereas other masks, there are things that can filter through. This is nothing new. If people have tuberculosis, there is a special kind of mask for that. So there are certain types
which is the same, which is the N95.
Mm-hmm. So there are certain types of transmissions of bacteria and viruses that this mask has been made to stop. Other masks aren't necessarily made to stop everything from going through. Maybe larger particles protecting people one way. This mask protects everyone, the person breathing from letting out, the people around them from letting in. So that is what that mask is. As far as the filter goes, it is the most common filtering face piece respirator, this mask. And it is an example of a mechanical respirator, which provides protection against particles, but not against gases or vapors. And that's the difference in that type of filter.
And it captures it right in there. So you have to understand, you can't remove that filter either or clear it out. You just have to let go of the let go of the entire mask because you're carrying it with you.
Right.
Okay. What was our other question?
How long does it take to get results?
Okay. How long does it take?
I'm looking that up now.
Okay, Kim Ham's
I'll get back to you on that
for you. All right, good questions. Anything else? No,
ma'am.
All right, we're going to come back and we're going to revisit that. I want to give you some hot topics real quick, and then I don't want to linger on the, you already know what the one hot topic is going to be, and it said that it has to be a hot topic. We're going to talk about, Lord have mercy, what is his name real quick? I can't even think of his name. Uptown Records, the one that passed away.
Little Richard.
Did you say Little Richard?
He passed away too.
Little Richard passed away? When?
Yep.
When? Yes.
He passed away. Little Richard, pioneer of rock, is dead at 87.
Wait a minute.
It says he died. Oh, it just posted 37 minutes ago.
Oh, that's why so we on the show. Hot on the press. Go ahead, Kim Ham to go to girl because she was
R.I.P.
Oh man,
he was 87 years old. They have not released cause of death. So rest in peace, Little Richard.
And Andre Harrell.
Andre Harrell, thank you so much. I'm like, because I remember the hip hop group. He was part of the duo Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde back in '81. Yeah, I'm like, I can't even think of it. Yeah, Andre Harrell. He that's who I was talking about. Passed away. He was the one that kind of brought P. Diddy. He kind of got him up under his wing. P. Diddy followed him. Music exec, doing his doggone thing. He's responsible for Mary J, Heavy D, Teddy Riley, Albie Shore. I wonder where Albie Shore is at and what he doing these days.
The Quiet Storm.
Quiet Storm. Oh, there we go. That's where he's at. But he did make a post, and I wrote it down because this is his post the day before he died. Are you ready? Whoever need a ride to 2021, we leave tomorrow morning. And that was his last post.
Wow.
And everybody focus on that. But let me finish. What else he put? So skip the virus and let's pick it up again at the top of the year. So that's at the bottom part of the post. But it was like, whoa, he got a ride.
He sure did.
2021, he was like, y'all, whoever needs a ride to skip 2021. Wait, no, whoever needs a ride to 2021, we leave tomorrow morning. That was his last post. All right, so RIP to Andre Harrell. Let's go. Oh, DJ Nice is the one who released that. I want to put that out there. Carnival Cruise is picking back up, they say. Who going on a cruise in August? I ain't trying to be funny. Look, them travel agencies be sitting there sending me stuff all the time, inboxing me, hey, I'm a travel agent. And I understand you're trying to make your money and do what it is that you do, because you are one as well, right?
Yes, and I'm gonna go ahead and cancel the Jamaica trip. I just gotta find out about like the people with their deposits and stuff.
I'm not getting on nobody's cruise ship. And look how long it took for them to get off.
Well, no, we wasn't going on the cruise. We was flying down to Jamaica, but still, with all this still probably going on,
Jamaica probably ain't letting nobody in.
Yeah,
from us. Like, nah, y'all cool, y'all got that.
Yeah, it's too soon.
But isn't that something like a cruise? Who want to go on a cruise, right? Like in August? Do you think that is safe?
No.
What you think, Roogle?
Dr. Fauci, y'all familiar with Dr.
Yes, we are.
He and I think the president got mad at him for saying this, because he said he believes COVID-19 is going to be here until the fall.
Okay. They were saying it.
You know, and then I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I mean, and the thing about cruise ships, they've already gotten scrutiny for getting people sick when it wasn't no illness. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, I don't even know about that, man. Like, not at all. You know, and then nah. I think, you know, I think what's going to start happening. People are going to start saying, well, you know what? I do want to go to this place, but I think it's time for a road trip like before. Like, I don't know if people are going, no, you know, I don't know. Like, part of me feels like I think people aren't going to be flying as much and all that kind of stuff. But then, like, the behavior I see from people of, like, giving no Fs about anything, I mean, it won't be me, but you know what I mean? But I think it will be, I think it will be somebody. You know, it's too many people. Like, I mean, like, you know, the people are talking about open up the state and do all this sort of thing. And I get what people are, how they feel that their, you know, their livelihoods are tied to, you know, them actually having their own business and that sort of thing too. But but the issue I have with that is, though, the government's response to be able to help individuals anyway has been ridiculous. It was a lady who was talking about her unemployment, and she said, it was so funny when she said this. She said, it's like calling in for a radio show contest. Is how it is to file for unemployment. You know what I mean?
Okay, so a lot of people are having issues. Okay, look, can I get through? Can I get through the line? Right.
Yeah, my household is personally impacted by that, because my wife was I guess temporary layoff from her job, you know what I mean, because of what's going on. It's like impossible to file and that sort of thing. And it's like, you know, what I will say, there was another email that we got that I actually got, and then I was sharing that with some people, and it was like giving like insight on how you could get the federal funds, but that hasn't been released yet. But just doing this little short process sort of got you on the list or something of that nature. But it's still like, you know, it's impossible. And there's also weekend hours for people to apply in Ohio for unemployment via the phone as well.
Okay, so you can apply on the weekend as well.
Yes, on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, Kim Ham, do you have the answer?
Do I have the answer?
Do you have the answer for the time span? Did you find that yet?
Oh, that answer, I sure do. It can take up from just a few minutes up to a week, depending on how many people are being tested. If you're trying to go through the new rapid test. So I don't think that the testing result time is the biggest issue. It's whether or not the test is accurate.
Okay. All right. Hopefully she answered your question. And obviously it sounds like the turnaround time of how many tests they have to test.
That's right. But they're saying in theory, the lab can tell you in a few minutes, but when they get back to you, it can take up to a week.
Got you. So the turnaround time usually is a week, depending on how many people, but it's a rapid test and we don't know if it's actually accurate.
Oh, Chicago on it. They got line the driver test. They've been doing that for the last couple of weeks.
But the results, that was the question. Yeah, because
I don't know how quick
like,
they're able to get them the results. But
that was a good question. Now I did see where they were saying if you are like if you are with foreigners or have a foreigner, and the foreigners are people in Mexico, even though we know that that is now a U.S. State, that now that they won't get checks or they didn't get a stimulus check. Did you hear anything about that?
Mm-mm.
Like the people in Mexico
didn't.
didn't get it. I was like, what? You know, I was like reviewing, kind of
I don't
skimming
know if
through.
that's just it's just the
Or if they're not a
United
U.S.
States, yeah,
citizen, or if
just
you
for the
are
United
married to,
States.
and if you are married to someone who is not yet,
A
you know,
citizen.
then they won't get one. It was some people complaining about that, but we'll see. And some of the stimulus checks are coming out. People are still, and if you have moved, it is your responsibility to make sure that you let them know prior to, because stimulus checks have been being stolen. Even like when you
Mhm.
move from different locations, if you move from one house to another house, listen here, and I know that just from something simple some years ago, a cable bill. Hold up, I don't even have cable. The next people who moved into my house, they were getting cable in my name, you know, and it's something minor, but like credit cards, you know what I mean, things like that, that'll come to your old address, even though that you may have, you know, had a forwarding address, and it's not all there. You want to go ahead and elaborate on that, Nick, as far as like the stimulus checks? You don't have to say the name or anything, but
Yeah, someone recently had her check taken because I don't know what it was with the address. She just recently moved, and somebody in her home, her old home, got her check, and they tried to go to cash it at a local beauty supply store.
and they knew the person.
And they knew, because they've been in the community, you know, for years, you know, over there in PA. And
you weren't supposed to say all that.
well, you know,
just go ahead,
yeah.
just say it. Just
But
go ahead.
I didn't say the name or
Okay.
the store or anything. I
Okay.
just said over there, or the city. But he knew the person who the check belonged to, and confiscated the check,
which is really
and
good.
let her know that I know you were not her. So basically, yeah. So you have to make sure you keep up with, if you've moved recently, or you know, keep up with that. Just make sure you forward your address, and especially with this going on, call them folks, or however you got to do it. Enter my payment, enter your information, because you can go on there, especially for non-filers. Go on there, put your information in your address and everything. You have to make sure you change that, because crackheads don't care. They're gonna try it.
That is the truth.
They gonna try it.
They'll and they don't even have to be a crackhead.
No, they just,
you know what
dishonest.
I mean? But I will tell you one thing that's good. That shows where it is good to support your local, you know, people, you know what I mean? Support your local merchants.
Right.
Shop in your area, because they're able to tell you. And in that case, he was able to confiscate her stimulus check and have somebody, hey, we need to reach out and let her know that I have her stimulus check.
Yeah,
but the crazy part about that is, you know, the crazy part about that is, aren't you supposed to show ID? Like, I mean, like.
But that's probably why they went to like the local,
that's why
or
they
corner
went,
store,
yeah,
or something
thinking
like
that
that.
he was gonna he was gonna cash it. But guess what? Regardless, he knows me and has known me for a long time. But when I used to go there just to cash something, I would still have to show him my ID.
And that's good.
Period.
But that's just somebody,
you know, and that's them. Yeah, that's them covering their butts too. But the thing is, they've been in that area for a long time. They know everybody. So what made you think you was really gonna get away with it?
Well, I'm glad that they thought they were, so that they were able to confiscate it and give her, you know,
yeah. And
her.
He made sure he went through whatever measures he could to get somebody to get to her.
Okay, now let's go to this next, which is so sad, and I hate to report on it, but I got to give you the news. A New York nurse was arrested for stealing dying coronavirus patients' credit cards. Why?
She just ruined her career.
Forget that. Yeah, you ruined your career, but don't, to me, I just, look, as a nurse, don't be putting that on us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's terrible. So not only the patient can't have visitors, and you trust that, you know, medical person that's there. So it's like nobody's there checking their stuff. You in there fumbling around in their little stuff, and they on the ventilator. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Go ahead, Kim. I know you.
I knew that was coming for me because I am a nurse. Oh, by the way, happy Nurses Week to all my fellow nurses out there.
Hey.
Hey,
Thank you too. Looking back to you, honey.
thank you. The only thing I can say about that is education doesn't change your character.
Right.
She was who she was before she got letters behind her name, and unfortunately, she has ruined her career as a part of that. I would like to say that for the most part, nurses are the kind, loving, caring people that we have been portrayed to be. So I'm going to give a shout out to all of the nurses of character and integrity. We really don't know what drove her to do that. We don't know what her circumstances are. However, the common practice for nursing is not to steal from our patients. So hopefully whatever issues she had to get her in that situation will be resolved, because she probably won't resolve them as a nurse.
How about that? Look, and there you have it. Boom, done, done. Speaking of the lovely nurses, we thank you, Paula Gillum, for the beautiful floral arrangement. I love these rainbow roses. I appreciate it. Thank you, Makiba Williams. Oh, you love it. Shout out to you guys. It was like, here, boom, and here was a surprise. And I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Now, a guy, Clifford Alexander, he was, y'all remember him? NBA 2014. He was like the top high school recruit.
Oh yeah.
And then he got picked up for with Kansas. And then 2005. I don't know what happened. But we ain't heard from him no more until yesterday. No, Wednesday. Till Wednesday we heard from him. He got pulled over by the police and he got arrested for having a loaded gun in his car. Now, guns are supposed to be unloaded, like the clip's supposed to be in the trunk or wherever, you know what I mean, separate. He said that he was going through Inglewood and he feared for his life. That's why, you know, he had it loaded. Now, my question to you is, do you think that these protesters, when they have these guns and going up, talking about open up the world and blah, 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 do you think that their guns are unloaded? So are those unloaded guns that they have?
No, they're not. You know,
I want to know their opinion. Come on, Roogle, tell me.
Well, you know, the way I feel about it is,
do you think they got to go to their car?
Like none of these people who have shot people, especially in recent days, all these shootings that have happened, or recent months, I should say, they haven't gone to jail just for that fact. You know what I mean? Like, no one's saying, well, you shouldn't even have that gun loaded, let alone shooting somebody with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just crazy. You know, I mean, the thing that's so ridiculous about it, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you broke the law, you broke the law. Okay, cool. But if you also that afraid to be where you at, then maybe
why go there?
You know what I mean? I mean, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing that you should be that afraid? And then what are you doing that you ain't even that alert to even understand your surroundings? You know what I'm saying?
You playing basketball in France, they say. Go ahead, Kim.
If the law says that the guns should not be loaded, then that's where they should stop. You know, your rationale for why it was loaded, being afraid to go where you're going, I agree with Roogle on that. If you're afraid to go there and you're that afraid to go and you don't have to go, then where are you going? But we live in a time where the law only applies to certain people at certain times. We already know that. So I'm going to leave it at that.
All right, go ahead real quick. That's what you...
I don't care how much money you got, how famous you are, the famous actor, famous... It don't matter when it comes to the color of us. You could be getting stopped for the same thing that one of them got stopped for. The law is going, one Caucasians, okay, because we are Black and we're living in that time. Sorry to say, racism has never really gone away. Like somebody a friend of mine posted on it's never gone away. We just have cameras now. We just film it now. Mm-hmm. You already know you're gonna get stopped for the same thing that a white person got stopped for 5 minutes before, but you're gonna be the one going to jail.
And let's talk about...
They're gonna be the one getting a ticket or a warning, sir. You know you can't do that. I'm gonna let you go. Not us. It don't matter how much money you got.
Ahmad. That's he just turned 26. That's the young man who was murdered for jogging. And I'm going to say murdered. He did not have a weapon for jogging. Now, this incident occurred 2 months prior. Do you think they didn't arrest him 2 months ago? Do you think they arrested him because we saw the footage?
Yes, they did, because of this thing, and because the mama,
Yes.
the mama was vigilant.
Well,
And
the mama was vigilant even from day one.
From day one.
But I think that let me hear what Roogle, you said what?
Absolutely, because from what I understood, the police are trying to say that it wasn't enough evidence to arrest them. Like, what? And then this video shows pops up, you know, and it's almost one of those things where it's kind of like, I need to get a camera for my car. Like everybody,
right.
Like if you, you know, if you know, I mean, if you just need it, it's like everybody, you need to
for
have
your own protection,
surveillance, you know. I mean, which is sad, but it's just when you look at it, you're like, what in the world could these people have been doing? Like this, I mean, it's just like because I've seen a comment on something else. And then somebody said, "Is this like that Andrew Zimmerman effect, or what? You know, Zimmer, or what's his name?
George
Zimmerman.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, why are these people thinking that it's okay for them to just take some, not even so much. I mean, take someone's life is one thing, but on all are these dudes this vigilant on every issue? Like, I would hate to be a person that litters in their neighborhood if you get this just for walking down the street. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, I mean, if that's even, you know, I mean, I won't even give them the ability to be able to weasel out of this and say, well, you know, he was a threat to us. It's a person jogging, and you in the truck with guns, multiple guns.
You actually followed him.
Yeah, you followed him
from your house.
But as we know, though, even with Trayvon Martin, he was followed. You know what I mean? He was going about his business, and somebody walked up, and this guy walks up on him. And it's just like in Minnesota, just a few days ago, another, I don't know, it was reported a few days ago, but I think it just happened not too long ago. There was a guy that was gunned down because he had a over road rage or whatever. You know, he was black, and he was gunned down by a white man who said, well, he thought he was a threat, and then he shot him and drove off. And so they said the guy had a conversation with his father or whatever during that time, and he ended up coming back to the scene of the crime. Well, they, you know, he tried, they did arrest the guy, and he's facing up to 40 years. But the issue isn't, sometimes the issue has to be, well, what's going to happen after you get arrested? What is the
that's it, the rest, yeah, the arrest
what is the judge going to say?
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, these guys are getting caught, but the judges are just like, oh, okay, oh, you're all right, this is okay, you know. And I think, like, and this is how, I mean, why people need to kind of be invested in who they vote for judges, you know. And then we also should encourage people who have a world view on how that seat impacts everybody, and encourage them to run, you know, because it's just like, if we're getting to this point to where, like, the judicial system is failing us, then it's time for those folks to go.
Go ahead, Kim.
One of the things that I find interesting as I'm reading this is that 2 prosecutors have recused themselves from investigating this case because the father is a retired Glenn County police officer and investigator. So this goes right back to what Roogle says about what happens in the courtroom now that they've been arrested.
Okay, Nick, what's your thoughts on it?
I live down there.
Okay. So you're familiar with the neighborhood?
I'm familiar with the neighborhood. And you're talking about an area where it's very close to one particular city there that all Black folks are warned that you better not ride through, be seen, or anything after the sun goes down. They don't care. Even with the judges, the city officials there, they don't care. When it comes to something dealing with the Black, they're not going to be fair. I've lived down there. I had a relative who was living down there and had something happen in the neighboring city, to where the city officials couldn't be trusted. the judicial system couldn't be trusted because of the color of his skin. That's why he moved back home here. It's
okay, so
not going to be fair.
What Roogle is saying, there's some validity to it. You have to know who you're voting for.
You have to know who you're voting for. Get these people out, because a lot of these people come from old money and just the old family, and they're still stuck in their ways, especially the one neighboring town. When you're a black person and you have to ride through like they do us with your windows up in 100-degree weather, and you better have air in your car and lock your doors, especially if you ride through at night. Yeah, I've lived down here, so yeah, I know. It's not fair, but they are still going through like it was like the 50s and 60s. Yeah.
Is this the place where Oprah, is that the place where Oprah did that show years ago? Remember she did a show, it was somewhere in Georgia, and it had
What's the neighboring town? You can say the neighboring town.
Ludwig.
I couldn't hear.
Ludwig, Georgia.
I don't know. You know what? Because it's funny. Unless it might be a few towns like that. I remember once I was in Atlanta, and my family was my immediate family at that was down in Georgia too. But I was in Atlanta. They were somewhere else, and they said, "Hey, you should come down here and meet your cousins." Blah blah blah. This and that. Blah blah blah. And they said you can catch the Greyhound, and when you catch the Greyhound, the bus is going to stop in this one town. But don't get off the bus. And I was like, I'm not coming. I'm not coming.
I'm telling you now, that's what it was. I'm telling you, especially if you was coming from Atlanta, you had to come through Ludwig. That's where it was.
And they said don't get off there. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Traveling south.
Okay. All right, Roogle, you already know what time it is.
Okay, I heard some of it, so I think I know what's really going on. Well, actually,
what's happening in the movie world?
Actually, the movie world is in a halt right now. But the real news is this: is that Universal and AMC are having a battle. Now, AMC has movie theaters. Universal makes movies, and I forgot why the dispute happened, but AMC has threatened Universal that they will not show their movies. So what movies do Universal make? Anybody know? Big blockbuster. I don't like the franchise, but they make Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of the franchise or whatever like that, but I mean they do have some. But the issue is that this will if this happens, if this goes through, this is what it dealt with. It dealt with them trying to have direct, like now you can, like if there's a movie out that they release, you can watch it on your own television now because of what's going on. Well, they wanted to like sort of amp that up. They really wanted to lean into that because they had success with the movie Trolls. So from that, the AMC was like, well, check this out. If you do that, then we were not gonna. If you want that to be a part of your regular business model, we will not allow you to show your movies here at all. And we're talking about half the theaters in America and Europe and all that other stuff. China, they got theaters everywhere. So the issue became, the issue now is the studios, they're fighting. Well, they're sort, I want to say fighting, but for lack of a better word, they're fighting the distributors because of what's best for their business, and they want to get movies out there, especially when, like, for example, I don't know when I'm going back to a movie theater. I'm just telling you, and I enjoy them, but I don't know when I'm going back. But the point there is that some of these movies may not be released, or they may not be released. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I don't think you spend like $200 million on something not to try to see a return. Now we look at Trolls, they end up saying that they get about $100 million from Trolls. Now the issue with that is that I don't know how much they spent on their overall budget, to make it, then the advertise it and that sort of thing. So the thing is, if I pay at my household, $20 or $19.99 or whatever it was to see it, I get 2 days to view it, so I can watch it. I can watch it for 2 days. So where they lose money is essentially like if I went to go see Trolls, like I think kids movies are always a cash grab for Hollywood because it's going to be at least two people that goes because it's usually a kid and usually a parent. You know what I mean? So you automatically selling two tickets. But the other thing is that right now everything is really on the small screen, as you know, which was streaming. I don't know if anybody watched the Tiger King. Is Joe Exotic? Oh,
I did not.
You gotta watch it.
It has a buzz. Did you check it out, Kim?
I haven't watched it, but I've heard so many people who have, and they are like totally into it.
Hey, you got. I mean, because this is a documentary, but it's like they added another part like after the show, and they were talking to some of the people that were involved. But it's just really bizarre, and I did watch that. However, there was some other things that I did. That's why I'm all looking like this, even though I'm not shaving and really combing my hair these days anyway. But I got on my house coat because I did some binge watching last night. I binge watched the movie the show Dead to Us, the 4th season that came out, and also Working Moms, which are some of my guilty pleasures. I kind of enjoy those shows, there. And also the show Upload. So
where is that at? On Netflix?
Upload is on Amazon or Prime, and the other two they're on Netflix. So Upload is basically a sci-fi movie a sci-fi show that talks about what if when you die, you have the ability to put your consciousness into a computer. And they have like this whole network, so like where they're like sort of like social media brands or whatever, but they're for people to upload their consciousness when they die. So it's like going to virtual heaven is what the concept is. And it's a pretty interesting show and a pretty interesting concept too. There was also, I think they got the idea from Black Mirror because there's a Black Mirror episode that has that same thing. But the best thing that's coming out of Hollywood though was a video I seen by Ryan Reynolds, and he was talking about how all these celebrities are talking about, oh, we're in this together. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but you got to check out the video because he makes fun of. He's like, okay, who's maybe the celebrities are more important than the first responders and the people who work in essential services and all that stuff. And he's making light of it, of course, but Gal Gadot, who is Wonder Woman, has turned into a Blunder Woman because she is up here doing all the things that people are like, what are you talking about? Like what's happening is that these really rich folks are sort of they are not really aware. They're not really woke during this situation, and they're saying things that they think they're helping, but really is being insensitive to their situation. For example, Ellen was like saying, oh, I feel like I'm in a prison being at my home. Ellen has a $27 million mansion, this beachfront property. And I think it's 8,000 square feet. You know what I mean?
How many people will be happy to be on house arrest? Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. but rich people be trying to get that house arrest so they can go back to their big ass house. You know what I mean? So when she said that, it's like you got endless amount of money. You got people that's gonna break their neck to make sure you cool, and you got a big ass house. Now it's people. Now the people you've put in this video out to, some of them, hey, they ain't even got unemployment yet. You know what I'm saying? They can't even sign up for unemployment. But you bored and you got a pool, you got all this stuff, you got all this shit in your house, and you still ain't happy. You know, and it was just kind of like, to me, like I really never really like watched her show or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple people show that I don't really mess with, so it ain't like I'm like giving shade to her. But it's like this stuff really reveals people's character. And when you see these people like kind of like being this far out of touch, you like, how can you? Do you really understand what it, I mean, you might have been regular at one time in your life, but you let it go straight to your head. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, look at it this way. And I understand it's the movie segment.
Okay.
Maybe there's social people. There's the social people and there's antisocial people. Because let's be realistic here. Like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, some people are okay with just chilling. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I'm comfortable. Then you have those that are social people, as Nick, who's like, no, I'm ready to get out. So maybe that's it. Maybe she's just a social person.
I ain't say I was ready to get out. I just said,
well, that's because of what's going on.
Yeah, I just hate not being able, when I do go out, to hug somebody. You just like never
because
know.
You're a social, social butterfly.
But I'm cool with staying in the house after this for a while.
This is over.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What you guys say, Roogle?
No, I mean I can get that, but at the same time, it's not that they're communicating to the outside world. It's the message that they're saying. Like I have, it's like that question where somebody would say, well, why would that rich person commit suicide? You know what I mean? They're like, why would you like? And then somebody say, well, you know, happiness isn't really tied to wealth and all that sort of stuff, right? But there is a level of security that is, right? And she's experiencing that security in a way that some people can't even imagine. And so the point I'm saying is like, first of all, I only seen the video because my wife saw it. I would even never even saw it, you know? But the point was,
we're ready to watch, huh?
I ain't even trying to watch. Like she was like, oh, look at Ellen. She's upset about putting together this 4,000 piece puzzle. And I'm like, well, she never even did it. She told me I gotta count the pieces first and the pieces missing, and then she found the piece but never went back and did the puzzle. You ain't had no intentions on doing that damn puzzle. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even if you did, how is that?
He's not a fan.
At all.
Not a fan. Kim, what do you have to say about that? Because we're
Roogle, celebrities are people too. No.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you just intrinsically a nasty, terrible person who ain't happy with shit in life, then don't put it on the internet. That's all I'm saying.
I can see it though. I can see it though, because for people who are sitting here trying to figure out where they're going to live because of this crisis and trying to figure out what their next move is, and then you have a person who you can sit your entire home inside of theirs, and they're saying what they're, they're inconvenienced or whatever, not feeling that, they're able to express themselves. Somebody else is looking like, well, I wish I did have all of that multi-million-dollar home to wonder what my next move was going to be. So I guess in a way, somebody could say that they're being insensitive.
Oh, I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
Hey, Roogle, tell me, is that brown juice?
Well, it's apple juice, girl. Now, I grew up on business.
Is that brown juice this morning, sir?
It's apple juice. I went with my eggs and toast. So I grew up on business. Got people up in here.
Hilarious.
I'll ask you what's in your cup.
Yeah.
Look, you can't even tell.
That's how you got to do things. That is how you have to do things.
But again, in the movie world, now is the time to just kind of relive some of those great classics that you like, or some of those movies that really entertain you. And another thing is too, it's not a bad idea to kind of step away and just sort of be more creative with the things you like to do. I think this is a time for those people. Hey, if you like to write. If you like to come up with these ideas for different things, put out some content. I think what's going to happen if you are truly trying to get into the game of being a writer, you got a story to tell, a book to tell, or something like that. I think that this is just my own personal view, that once this is over, there's going to be a need for content. I don't know if people want to reflect on what's going on with this particular thing or not, but the issue is now, like, if you have the extra time, be creative with it, especially if you want to be, if you choose to be a writer, or whatever it is, That's all I got.
Hey, we heard that sound ×2. Nick, tell us what's happening with the horoscope.
All right, we have the horoscope for the week of May 11th, 2020. Taurus, sharing ideas and information can amplify your potential to boost cash flow. You'll want to dive into any type of research you believe could benefit your bottom line, such as new investments or opportunities. This could be a good time for tidying up your resume and reading or listening to podcasts about your field. Gemini, finding new ways to share your thoughts, opinions, and social moments with loved ones and friends can be especially fulfilling. At the same time, you'll be more inclined to go to bat for yourself verbally with higher ups and loved ones. Speaking your mind in this way can have you feeling extra empowered.
Okay.
Cancer, you'll want to take more cautious, private approach in how you open up and communicate. Your one-on-one relationships could expand in a more spiritual, mental, and emotional way than by progressing in external ways. Leo, group projects can prove especially productive and animated while trading ideas with ideas with friends and colleagues and brainstorming ways to collaborate, which can in turn fuel your long-term dreams and goals. Virgo,
Hey, hey, hey.
research and communication that can allow you to advance your professional track will be bolstered from May 11th till the 28th. Not only will you have an advantage when it comes to pinpointing details that can inform your next move, but you'll be able to step into high profile meetings or presentations with ease. Libra, you'll have extra energy to apply to your fitness efforts and even just the simple routines of daily life. You'll want to always you'll want okay, let me try that again. You'll want to draw up or reverse a schedule, making sure to squeeze in. Wait a minute, I can't see that. Glasses adjusted, light. Okay, we gonna start that one again, y'all.
Come on now, because we live. Go.
Libra, you'll have extra energy to apply to your fitness efforts and even just the simple routines of daily life. You'll want to draw up or revise a schedule, making sure to squeeze in time for self-care efforts, and sticking to it should prove easier than usual, especially if you can practice self-compassion on the times you might fall short of your original expectations. Scorpio, you can find yourself spending more time reflecting on hard lessons you've had to learn around your daily interactions with others and the ability to tackle mounting errands and chores. Be honest with yourself about the ability to self-evaluate, self-regulate, and meet your responsibilities, and you'll be primed for personal growth. Sagittarius, Monday brings business you can't ignore. Take care of everything that meets your eye as soon as you see it, and keep prioritizing on the fly. You'll be glad you did when things start to short circuit Tuesday and Wednesday. You'll need all of your resources to keep the problems from spreading far. You'll find help from an unexpected source at the last minute. Things finally settle down on Thursday, and you'll be eager to start looking forward to strategic planning. Strategic planning will go well for the rest of the week. Capricorn, researching new ways to care for your health can prove satisfying, and you'll be able to hit the ground running to check any chores and errands off your list. This transit can also amplify your assertiveness, inspiring you to stand up for what you believe in with colleagues, friends, and neighbors. Aquarius, you'll want to be more assertive and take a bolder approach when it comes to pursuing your money-making goals. This could look like getting in touch with colleagues from the past to pitch yourself to a company you've been dreaming of working for, or developing a new artistic approach to your current project roster. Either way, feeling like you're being proactive can make your loftiest professional aspirations a reality. Pisces, a burst of gung-ho energy make it easier to build on your existing progress when it comes to your wellness and personal goals. While you tend to be flexible, you'll be more apt to dig your heels in now on causes you feel passionate about and argue your positions in a way that could leave those around you applauding your passion. And Aries, You'll be a master of busy work and being able to multitask, whether you're running errands or trading notes with colleagues over impromptu Zoom meetings, plowing through endless emails, or diving into a variety of projects with your community. Your mental energy is sure to be cranked up during this period. Just make sure to avoid burnout by taking well-deserved time out. And that is your horoscope for the week.
All right. Thank you much. Look, and hopefully people kind of take that advice and do what they need to do and look up. Look up.
Exactly.
I have a question about the schools. Since school is canceled until postponed, I'll say the actual virtual school is still going on. The physical school, is that right? Yeah. Like to physically go into a school building, that's postponed until what, the fall? We're speaking in Ohio. I'm asking.
Yeah. School won't be coming back this year, but there will be graduation ceremonies via virtual technology.
Okay. I have a question for you. I was having a conversation, as I usually do, where one of the parents were, one parent was talking to another parent, and the one parent had an attitude about not being able to send her child to school. She had an attitude, which was really, she was like, listen, this is her. She was like, that's crazy that they don't even have school. She was like, how am I supposed to do a second grade work lesson and a school lesson, a third grade school lesson, and a fifth grade school lesson? So the other girl looked at her and was like, those your kids.
Right.
Like, hello, what's going on? And she was upset because she felt like the teachers need to do their job. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because prior to this event, especially in Ohio, having the issue that we have been fighting to regain control of the school system, where the people can actually, when I say the people, I'm talking about having a school board where the people can actually have a say-so and a voice in it. That seems to be the issue. And I actually witnessed it, not saying that those two parents, because the one she was like, those are yours. Those are the two parents. But just, and not that they're speaking for all parents, but that was an eye opener for me, even though you hear it. And then like the parent teacher conference, and you hear that, because I'll always, and those of you that know me in the area, they know I will go to the school board meetings because I'm truly concerned and I want to know what's going on and what's missing. Well, when you hear that the parents aren't involved, the parents aren't involved, I used to get annoyed by that comment because I was a parent who was involved. And I said, no, that's not true. But if I actually was able to witness that conversation and to hear what they, to hear her say that and feel as though that it is the parents, it is the teacher's responsibility to teach your child, that was like an eye opener. I was like, oh my gosh. And that is why control was lost. I feel like, and nobody was fighting because they feel as though, okay, it's your responsibility. And not that I don't have a say, so I really don't care. And that's the way that I took it. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, the first thing is that as a parent, you are the child's first educator. That's just what it is, And if you're not taking the effort to guide your child through just their education, if you're not taking the effort to guide your child just through the education pieces that has been assigned to them by the district, what are you doing to give them life skills? So just think about that. This is let that sit in there for a quick second. If you are like for example, she's upset because there's 3 different lesson plans that's going on in her home, right? Well, there is help that she could get, especially in Youngstown, because we have it where you can go on to the Progress book and communicate with the teachers to get insight on what's going on. I just think that, to me in that household, I would just be a little bit like, well, what else are you teaching the children? Because it just seems like if you're just going off of what someone says, this is what you should teach them, what are you really instilling in them? You got to do more than that. You have to make schoolwork be an extension of what's expected from you in your home life. With me and my son, I simply told him this. I was like, hey, I'm going to work and you're going to work. And this is what I need you to do. And this is what, you being dedicated to your studies helps us in this particular way. And I would talk to him. And I would tell him these lessons early on, And it was funny because we were talking about this because when he was young, I told him, I said, never mess up your credit for anybody. And he said, we had a conversation about that last night. He's 25, about to be 25 anyway. And so but the issue became like, in elementary school, they weren't talking about credit, you know what I'm saying? But that was something I felt I needed to educate him on, So it's really, it's disheartening to hear that sort of thing happening. But at the same time, people can't think of school as being a daycare. Like, you can't even think of preschool as being a daycare. It's a learning environment. It's a learning environment that you must support for your child to get the best benefit out of it.
I think that they probably appreciate the teachers more. I will say that hearing that conversation and listening, I kind of have a better understanding, because I couldn't understand why because I do it all. And I worked as a school nurse as well. And I will call parents, because I had the little patients there and they were really sick. If I'm calling you, they're really sick. And to have an attitude because you have to come and get your child who is exhibiting projectile vomiting, which means they really need to go to the hospital, and you have an attitude and you're upset about coming to get your child, it makes you wonder to say, hey, wait a minute. Am I the babysitter, or are you able to come and get this child? I had one child, no lie, this was during the income tax season. I'm going to share this because I didn't, I'm not going to say the names, but this little boy, and I know it was true, he came and he said, can you please don't call my mommy? And I said, but you're sick. He was like, my mommy told me, you going to school. This is him. You going to school. I just got my taxes, so don't call me. Listen, when he said that, I kept a straight face, but I couldn't do nothing but smile. So I said, come give me a hug. So I gave him a hug. I said, well, sit in here. I said, but we have to make sure that you're okay. Please don't call my mommy, because she told me. I said, well, did you tell your mom you were sick? You going to school. And he did his head like that. So I know he was not making that up. And it was like, this is what I plan on doing. So clearly when I say tax, that means tax season. So that's not that long ago, before they actually closed the school. But that made me say, wow, are they really using the school as a babysitting spot? Like, there's no way that you should be bringing your child to school sick if they're, legitimately sick. Go ahead.
That goes to show the mentality of some of these parents that get mad when your child is sick and you don't want to come up there to the school. That makes you kind of wonder what kind of home life they're living. But then these are the same parents, right? But these are the same parents that if you don't send their child home sick, or something go on, then they want to come up there cussing and ready to fight the teachers and argue and everything else. Man, sit your tail down and be a mother. If you didn't want to be a mother, then don't open your legs, and make sure you stay on birth control or do what you got to do. I don't believe in abortion, but then that's what you do. Because these are your children. You are their first protector. You are their first educator, like he said. Sit your behind down and do what you're supposed to do. If your child is sick and they're telling them, some people know that, my niece is a hypochondriac, so she always sick. But she does have issues. But, when your child is very sick, but for you to say, don't call me, because stupid stuff like that, all of this should make every parent have more appreciation, because over the years
for everyone,
right? But over the years they've lost appreciation for the teachers in school. You want to go and argue about every little thing, even though your child, and your child is bad. Your child talking back, wanting to swing on the teacher. This right here should definitely make them appreciate the teachers in the school system when they go back.
And saying that, Happy Teachers Week.
Yes, Happy Teachers Week.
Yeah, this is a Teachers Appreciation Week as well. That I think this whole quarantine is giving people a view. However, that conversation that I actually witnessed, that person, she still asleep. She didn't get it. She was like, trying to blame someone else. And it's like, you have to reevaluate yourself in the situations and say, what am I doing, or what did I do wrong? Why are they thinking this way? Even though, as adults, you can raise your children, you can believe that you raise them the right way, and then they take their own path. That's their path to take. Now, when they become adults, and you know that you've done everything that you can do, and they're going a different path than what you actually instruct them to go, then that's on them. But when you're dealing with someone who you are responsible for, they look at you as you are the hero, regardless. Even it could be mom strung out on drugs. You still can't say nothing about that child's mother, because that mother is the hero. That father who was not there in that child's life, you can't say anything bad about that child's father, because that child's father is still the hero. And with that being said, I think parents need to look and say, no matter what you did, no matter where you've been, you can always come back and reinvent yourself, because they still love you the same. That's the difference when you're a parent and a child. Go ahead, Kim, something you want to elaborate on?
I just want to say to this that, first of all, if you have a second grader, or did you say second, third, and fifth? You should already know what your children are doing. This should not be unfamiliar territory. Where is the every night homework schedule? Where is the structure? Where's the routine? Those are the things that I hear when you're saying that, telling that story. Like, did you not know what your kids were doing anyway? Second of all, it doesn't matter where your children are. They can be on the moon. You are responsible adult number one. So you have to assure that no matter what the learning environment is, you are in charge of it. And if you're not doing that, then maybe someone needs to educate the mom on her role as educator for her children. The teacher is part of a larger picture, but the parent is the one who drives the process. And if she's not doing that, then maybe this is time for that education to take place.
Okay, good. See, Kim Ham, bring it home. She know what she's doing. Question: with the let's talk about Youngstown, because what was it, 300 and something parents didn't pick up their child's packet?
I don't know if it was that high. I thought it was
high. I was appalled.
Okay, I don't know if it was that high, but I think though the issue was, I'll tell you like this, the way I feel about it is, like, over this time period of COVID-19, the CEO that's in charge of the district has not done a good job. I personally wrote a letter to the governor and other state officials about him wanting to stop the feeding program because it was spring break. And in that letter, I mean, I have the whole letter. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just tell you like this. The issue is that we're giving kids food because of a relief effort because of a pandemic, not because, so there's no spring break. Spring break doesn't exist anymore, in this scenario. And I went to him first, like a man, and asked him, like, why would, like, spring break be exempt to children's hunger? And he said, well, it isn't. And I'm like, well, why are you stopping the food program? You know what I mean? Like, why would you stop that? Like, this is, and so when I had that conversation with them, I felt like, or you already made up your mind, because I noticed, because you put this alert out to all the families. And he did that a week into the month. So you have families who may not have been prepared for that. You have families who may be unemployed and who can't get on social unemployment. You have families that may not have savings when the average income, the median income in Youngstown is $24,000.
Or had savings and depleted them.
Yeah. So here it is. The money is no sweat off your back, because the money is being provided to do the work. You got workers and stuff like that, and you want to be mindful and careful that they're safe and everything like that, of course, but the issue became that he had no real plan. And the thing is, not all kitchens are being used. A lot of this stuff is being prepackaged. They have volunteers, and thank God for all those people who are involved with that effort to make this thing happen. We truly appreciate that. But when you talk about being in leadership, and even if spring break was an issue, you not having an alternative plan on how you were going to help feed this community, because it's not just Youngstown City school kids, but it's all kids school age to 18 so you're talking about almost 12,000 kids.
Okay.
And like you can't stop, so you can't do that. And even when you talk about virtual learning, one issue became like, okay, we have Chromebooks and iPads and that sort of thing. And we were like, well, when is this stuff going to get out? And just last week we heard that, well, we did a survey, we're doing surveys and we're asking people to do the survey and we're giving out the stuff.
Wait a minute. Wait, no, because I know the show about to come to an end, but let's cut the check. So the Chromebooks are not out yet?
Not to everybody. Okay,
and let me ask this question before you elaborate. It cuts us off. Now, for someone virtual learning, I did homeschooling for one of my children, actually two of them, I think. For a minute, so I understand what it entails. So I'm not just speaking out the side of my neck. I understand you have to stay on them. Now, how do they know they advance to the next year, especially when they don't even have Chromebooks, because not everybody has a computer?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that the governor had when the governor put out his COVID plan or whatever, he had this school year is pretty much a wash. Like it's not,
everybody will be advanced.
It's not going to count. There's only two really real things that are kids are being measured upon, and those things are basically subjective based off of like what the administration believes. So the first one is graduation. So pretty much they were saying if you were on track to graduate, you will graduate.
But right? How do you know? Because that was at the beginning of the year. And I'm just going to speak for me. I know at the beginning of the year, you'd be like, oh, okay, hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 da, 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 da. Like, and then you'd be like, okay, let me buckle down. I'm just thinking about how I had a lot of fun. And it was like, okay, let me buckle down. It's time to, let the rubber meet the road and do what I need to do to get my grades up. So it was only just pretty much like, what, one quarter? Like, soon as you started and then into the second one. So if you were doing really well, then it's like, okay, but if you weren't doing really well, you stuck. Or if the principal don't like you or administration don't like you, be like, nah, we're gonna hold them back.
Well, I mean, and that's the case. Like I think like this year is like, hey, if you were on the skin, if you were sliding through, then you slid through. You know what I mean? I just because everything that's happened, you can't really hold students accountable when like the full instruction wasn't there. Especially like when I think about the plan that's been implemented here, how it's not been really complete and done in a way where you could even measure that stuff. But the governor did say this year would not count in those. So the graduation piece is one of those things, and that's kind of subjective based off of where you thought the child was going to be. So my thoughts were like, well, let's say that child needed all these credits to get through. Well, they got them. If they were on track to get them, meaning they were scheduled to get those credits, then in my viewpoint, they would graduate.
Okay.
The other piece is the third grade literacy piece, and if the children should go on to the fourth grade via their ability to be able to read at a third grade level. So the issue is subjective too, So I'm like, well, I particularly wouldn't hold back a child from not going to the third grade when they haven't been educated for almost, the last, 12 months of the school, 12 weeks or so of the school year or whatever, So there's a lot to unpack there and that sort of thing. But it's just, those are the only way that students could really be held back or retained or something like it to that effect at this point.
Okay.
But yeah.
So everybody for 2020, they're just gonna graduate regardless.
The issue was I should pull up the thing before you get the direct language, but the issue was that they was saying that they were on track to graduate.
Okay, because I do know like people that are in nursing school that are coming out, they're pretty much waiving the NCLEX.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they're waiving the NCLEX because they were graduating. So they did the program, they're waiving that so they could get out there in the field and help out. Mm-hmm. And then they can go back and take it.
Yeah, it's a, you know, it's
You
a
have to go to Ohio Board of Nursing to look into that. You guys can do that on your own time. So I got that question out as far as, because that was one from the listening audience as far as like for the 2020. So regardless, they're going to graduate. Like you said, if they were on track. For those people, and you may not be able to answer this, but for those people, Kim, I'm going to get you because I know you want to elaborate on this. But for those people who did not, those parents that did not pick up the package or even call in so that the package could be delivered, then those, should those children be passed on?
I mean, the issue is that the way the legislation read was that, like, really, how I interpret it was that it really doesn't matter what's done in this period of time, because it's not going to count towards penalizing the children from not advancing.
So they don't even have to attend the virtual meetings, the virtual school classing, or whatever.
Well, I mean, like, if that's even available, you know, like,
well, especially for the ones that didn't get to Chrome, some of them have them, and some teachers I know they teach virtually, but they said that the attendance is down so far since they did virtual learning, and these children, I believe, have the devices, and they said they can't believe they got more attendance when physically than them being at home, where all they have to do is get online and do it, and they couldn't believe it. And as far as like they have
more attendance by the children being online. Is that what you're saying?
They got more attendance with the children physically coming into the school building
than
being online with, okay, the class is at 8 o'clock, just go wake up and just put it on at 8 o'clock. He had certain messages talking, saying that we overslept. They won't be in class today because we overslept, that type thing. So that goes back to the parents being accountable.
Well, the thing about there's a couple pieces with, like, kind of doing virtual learning right now. When they first rolled everything out, they were just giving children homework. So those packets originally were just like papers, you know what I mean?
Right. I saw those.
But then it was some community backlash on the CEO that made him actually even go and give out the technology, because he doesn't do anything unless you put pressure on him to do the right thing, and that's just from my own personal experience, with the situation. But the piece there is that they can argue that, well, not every family has access to the internet, right? And that's true. Not every family has that, but some families may have hotspots that they can activate with their phone. Like, if you got Boost Mobile, you have like 20 gigs. I think it's 20 or 30 gigs of hotspot every month. So I mean, there's ways that parents could do this, but the issue becomes, have we given them a suitable tool to be able to do the work?
Okay, Nick has a question, and then Kim, I'm gonna go to you.
Okay, being a tech advisor, 20 or 30 gigs really is not a lot if they're going on like they're supposed to every day, and they have to do schoolwork and everything, because that takes up a lot of storage. So that's really not a lot.
Okay, so you think that the schools should probably provide Wi-Fi for the family, for the households? Or let them sign on? I mean, I don't know.
If they have a Wi-Fi program for the school, maybe they should let them,
log on to their. But I don't even know if you'd be able to do that. Go ahead, Roogle.
Well, it's been a combination of those kind of things being done, as far as, like, I forgot what the packs are called that they connect or whatever online or whatever. I mean, give them Wi-Fi access, but the issue has been that prior to the whole CEO takeover, we talked about having a one-to-one school system, which meant like every child gets a device, right?
Okay,
prior to
that. The school takeover, we're talking about the state of Ohio. Go ahead.
So prior to that, we were having conversations about how do we get every child a computer, and how do we get them to have meaningful use with this device when they're at home and that sort of thing. So you can have like ebooks, the download to the computer, that, hey, you have access to the text at any time because now you have this device and all that other stuff, right? So
I get it. Now, I went to one meeting where they didn't even have regular school books at the Youngstown City School at the Youngstown City Schools, they didn't have regular school books because what was it, the CEO that voted that out or something?
Yeah, well, it actually was the ADC at that time,
Okay.
and they voted, and they said they were over academics, and they've been over academics for the last 10 years, and they said that students shouldn't necessarily have books they take home, but they should use the books in the classroom as a reference, so like a dictionary or encyclopedia or
Well,
something.
how you supposed to teach somebody? So I guess, look, I guess them not having a device to work at home now, I understand all that. Let Kim go on because we get ready to shut off automatically. Go ahead, Kim.
What I have to say is it's not just having the equipment for the kids, but if parents are working from home, maybe they're not even able to follow through with a lot of the lessons. Maybe, you know, their internet access, as Roogle mentioned, is limited because now you have twice as many people trying to do important things at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have to look at those factors as well. So I don't think it's just whether or not the kids have the Chromebooks, it's when can they access them? When are the parents available to help? What are some of the other dynamics of the home that are presenting as a challenge to virtual learning?
Yeah,
Right. We get a lot of calls for that too. It also goes on if your device is up to date. There a lot of kids have been having trouble accessing the programs because it may not be compatible with the latest software version that they're actually running, or if they get to the latest software version, a lot of that stuff has been crashing. So it does. And if there's so many people, if you got 2 or 3 kids doing school online at the same time and 2 parents working from home at the same time, that has been causing a lot of issues for everybody all over the United States. So yeah, we get all of those calls too.
It's but the issue in Youngstown, it's not really a unique one, but this aspect of it is unique. We were, prior to the CEO model, we were working with and the ADC was there. We were trying to get a device into every student's hands. So if we would have been able to go through with our plans, we would have had a seamless way to be able to combat educating children with with this whole pandemic. You know,
when you say our, who is our? Is that the school board that was in existence when?
The school, it was always in existence, but the power, the power of influence on policy has reduced in a very dramatic way, where it's almost none. So the CEOs, they had ultimate control, managerial and operational control over the budget, over academics, over all of that. But they abandoned our plan to be able to get a device in every child's hand. So you're talking about in 2016. So we had these plans in 15 and we were working through to try to do this. And if that plan came to fruition the way we envisioned it to be, this wouldn't be an issue for our students.
Okay.
Because we would have been able to iron out all those kinks already. You know what I mean? We would have been able to say, you know, there's a motto in what is it? It's in Spring. What is it? What's that place? Spring. It's in Colorado. Spring. I can't think of it. Something Springs. Okay. Colorado Springs.
That's what I was gonna say. Colorado Springs. Like that's too easy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they have a blended learning model, and that involves using technology. Students, in some cases, not going to school maybe 1 or 2 days a week.
Okay, that's what they're talking about implementing now. That's what one of the other questions that came up. Implementing school with down to where it's just 2 times a week instead of 5 days a week. But go ahead with your thought, and then
the issue is like, it's not really, the way I look at it is we're talking about a blended learning technique. Okay. So let's say like for this pandemic or whatever, God forbid, but let's hypothetically say, well, no, matter of fact, let's not even do that. Let me just talk about the base of what blended learning is.
Okay.
It's a combination of classroom learning and online learning that you do to be remediate. Let's say you're not at level. Well, let's remediate you using this technology to get you to level, and then let's teach you at level when you have that instructor in place that's moving the course of the class. So the benefit to that is that you have children that are they don't necessarily have the time frame, the time restraints that happens when you're in class. So for example, if you're in high school, you have a 45-minute math class, right? Every day, you know, but on those days where you're having issues about, well, I don't really understand how to do this particular equation and all that stuff, those are the times you use the online piece to catch up and fill those gaps. You know, so there's a way to introduce technology and the classroom together, but you got to make sure the children have the basic resources to do such, and that's access to the material in a real way, not just we're gonna give you photocopies for the day or whatever, but actually give you books, actually give you computers, actually do the things where you can say, okay, like if we don't give everybody books, but we give if we don't give everybody physical books, but everybody has a device, and on that device it has all the books downloaded to the computer, then you have all those resources.
Okay. All right, Kim Ham, the go-to girl. Any questions? And I want you to wrap it up for us as usual.
So I have no questions. However, I would like to say this. Please remember that Mental Health Month is not about a diagnosis of depression or schizophrenia or bipolar anxiety. Mental Health Month is for everyone. It is for clean thinking. It is for not being controlled by your emotions. It's that ability to count to 10 before you react to something. So while we're having these conversations and we're talking about all of the different people and the different ways that we're seeing things about life, remember that everybody's situation is unique to them, and everybody's mental health hygiene may not be as yours. So let's be sensitive this month to mental health awareness. A shout out again to all the educators and the healthcare providers out there. And I would just like to say this week, let it be about you protecting you and letting everybody else do them.
There you go. Okay. All right. Thank you, Roogle, the movie guy.
No problem.
Yeah, I like this whole virtual stuff. Thank you, Kim Ham, the go-to girl. Kim Ham, why don't you give us today's footnote?
Today's footnote, why do I have to give a footnote? The footnote is, in spite of all of what we're hearing about what is best for you health-wise, you know your body, you know your situation, you know your circumstances. Look out for you. Do what you know is right for you.
All righty. There you have it, lovely people. I thoroughly enjoyed you as I do each and every single Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Y'all already know what it is. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people.
ShopTalk.
Hey,
That wasn't bad.
that wasn't bad. That was good.
Wasn't
We
bad.
like, hey, we almost got it.
Almost got it.
Almost.